Becoming God, a 200 microgram LSD and 100 milligram MDMA trip report, uploaded to the Actualized.org forums by Emanen on August 22nd, 2022. As this was years ago, I do not remember the come up, so I'll skip to the peak. The peak is starting to set in. I feel this extremely deep need to let go. I'm listening to music. I lie down on a couch and I'm about to close my eyes. But before I do, my awareness suddenly goes out of my point of view, and I'm able to see the surroundings of my environment as if from above. I see beyond the walls, and as if my POV and perspective is at all places at the same time. I begin to dissolve rapidly. There is a sense that I've done this infinitely many times before. I see people walking outside from a very expanded level of consciousness, but not through my eyes. I let go even more, and I think at this point there is no more distinction between having my eyes open or closed. It became a meaningless concept. There was just experience. I begin to experientially dissolve all qualities I am familiar with in my experience. The sense of I, being in a location, and much more. Experiential qualities like the temperature, external environment, memory, music, time, and everything you consider to be a part of your human experience are absolutely deconstructed away from my experience. What I mean is that these things cease to exist in my experience, as I was realising that it had been me all along who had been constructing these things. They were not outside elements, but all created by my mind. It is as if a huge burden is being lifted off from me. All my limitations are falling away. At this point, my consciousness zooms out and encompasses a galaxy. I am filled with indescribable, deep physical euphoria, ecstasy, bliss, and love. It felt like an orgasm, except it was thousands of times stronger and everywhere. I was feeling this infinitely deep euphoria and love on the scale of a galaxy, not in a body, because I no longer had a body. I had deconstructed it. I was feeling it everywhere where I was, which currently was a galaxy or something of that scale. My consciousness was filled with nothing but bliss and was incredibly vast. I cannot even begin to describe this. It should be noted that at this point I had no separate senses left. The only thing in my existence was this spacious bliss, alongside a visual representation of the form that I had become, but rather than seeing the form, I had become all of it. I keep letting go, and as I do, my awareness starts to encompass a whole universe. I was being it. I became it. The bliss becomes even more intense. I cannot in any way relate to this level of love and bliss in my current state. After this, I let go even more, and now I see an infinite number of these universes, and become something akin to a multiverse. At this point, I feel like full-on God. No longer is there any subject and object, only experience itself. There was total oneness in so many different dimensions. The intelligence, beauty, bliss and love are indescribable. This whole transition happened very fast. I then let go even more until my form and experience was nothing but something like an infinite number of Godheads. Alex Gray's artwork, The Net of Being, shows a very crude version of a state like this. What I experienced was infinitely more grand. I was not seeing an internal hallucination with my eyes closed of these Godheads. At this point, I literally didn't even have eyes in my experience. Instead of seeing anything, I was becoming the space of these places itself. The Godheads that I now was were indescribably intelligent, and each Godhead contained within an infinite number of dimensions and universes inside of it. They were perfectly one, yet infinite at the same time, and were in total communication with each other. There was nothing left of my human experience. I was full on God. It should be noted that my usual senses did not exist, nor did memory, time, or language. There was just utter peace, bliss, love, intelligence, beauty, and consciousness. There was infinite self-knowing. I was in control of everything, yet I did not have to control anything at all. This was nirvana. I became completely omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. Everything was an infinite fractal containing everything else in any point of the experience. This state was completely self-sustained and self-generated, the source being me, which was infinite consciousness. There was an infinite beauty, which was reflective in quality, and conveyed the feeling of total awakening. The love was infinitely deep. There was nothing but love. I was absolutely conscious of everything in existence. I stretched infinitely far in all possible dimensions, not only spatial, but in all experiential dimensions that were possible. The creative potential was so vast, I could have created trillions of fully fledged dimensions, and it wouldn't even come close to the full capacity of this state. But I felt no desire to do anything. I could do anything, and I mean anything at all. Nothing was impossible. The bliss and love at this point are infinite in magnitude, and were I be still in a physical body, the body would literally die from the amount of love and bliss I was experiencing. This state was the source of all creation, and my true nature. This unmanifest realm was where I would go when I died. This was what I was before I was born. All of this felt very deeply healing, as if every state I had ever experienced as a human was utterly unsatisfactory compared to this. Nothing had ever come close. I then proceeded to rest in this state for an infinitely long time. For comparison, all of my life up until this point was experientially not even a fraction as long as I was here. 1,000,000 years would not even come close to how long I was in this blissful state. After I felt like I'd become completely and utterly satisfied, I decided I wanted to become human again. This only happened once I was completely satisfied after spending an infinitely long time in this state. I began to construct a human experience again. I started with making the physical universe, then I started localizing myself into it. I started reconstructing the music, clock time, the physical body, personal memory, and other things like this. I consciously went through the process of creating my memories, my life situation, my environment, and could have chosen any form I wanted for myself, but I specifically wanted to be me. I completely desired to be me, and this was the sole reason I constructed myself as I was. I begin to come back, and at this point, I once again have a physical human form, but I'm still feeling the love and euphoria, though now, it is localized to be felt all over my body. I continue to lower my level of consciousness so that I can experience what it's like to be a human, because as long as I am a body, it cannot keep this level of consciousness, or it would physically disintegrate. So, I had to use my intelligence to put limitations on myself. The rest of the trip was then spent enjoying the music, and being in awe of the fact that I was God. This trip permanently changed all of my understanding regarding reality, life, myself, and so much more. It should also be noted that when I say that something was infinite in scale here, it truly was at that scale, and I am not exaggerating one bit regarding the level of love, bliss, and consciousness that I experienced.